This month of the How's All That Workin' For You podcast is sponsored by J. Brooks Coffee Roasters in Memphis, Tennessee. Urban Joe is the house favorite at J. Brooks for cold brew coffee. The legendary flavor of Urban Joe will ignite your taste buds with captivating shades of cocoa and cream. With a pleasantly balanced, bold body, the dark roast lover will fall head over heels for this roast. Cold brew is very quick and simple to make. It contains 2/3 less acid than hot brew coffee, so it's a perfect choice for anyone who has reflux or needs a stomach-friendly option for coffee. And if you make cold brew at home, you can make both cold and hot coffee with your solution. Everyone loves an adventure story. Make your day an epic adventure with a steaming cup or cold brew of Urban Joe. To order this signature blend for yourself and learn more about J. Brooks Coffee, click the link in the show notes or visit jbrookscoffeeroasters.com. That's the letter J, brookscoffeeroasters.com. You are officially invited to create some breathing room. This is the absolute best podcast to find the strategies, resources, and motivation you need to stop drowning in overwhelm, break free from hustle culture, and live out your God-given purpose. I'm your host, Rachel Baker, and girl, I've been there, done that. It is my God-given purpose to help you find space for an intentional life so you can confidently live in those strengths, skills, and passions that light you up and serve others. I know you are ready to create some breathing room, so let's do it together. Hey, welcome to episode 3 of Create Some Breathing Room. The topic today was born out of necessity. So please know that going into this episode, because when I sat down to come up with what I was going to share about, I had a completely different topic that I wanted to share. But then I feel like attacked by life events and I just couldn't do it. I could not do what I had in mind. Does that ever happen to you? You make all these plans, you have great intentions, and then everything gets hijacked by events that are completely outside of your control. And then, I don't know about you, but like the emotions get the better of you. Things that seemed really important just aren't quite as important anymore. And here's a really fun twist. If you have those empath tendencies, right? These derailing moments don't even have to directly impact your life specifically. Significant events that impact your family, your friends, they start to feel overwhelming even though they're not yours. When you are close to several people who are going through difficult times, it can feel like the world is caving in on itself. And this is where I found myself as I tried to finish writing the words that I was gonna share here. And while, I still eventually came back around to that and shared what I wanted to share, I got it out in a blog post separately. I was reflecting on the previous year, sharing my goals for the new year, what worked, what didn't. Like, that was what I wanted to talk about, right? But this that I'm about to share today, it wasn't the time for that. I didn't have it in me to look past the grief and the pain that a lot of people were dealing with. And so that had to wait. I got it out later. But today, I want to talk about what do we do when our emotions are working overtime to take control of things. I personally typically like to turn to comfort foods and yummy desserts. I have been trying to cut out sugar from my diet, trying to see if it'll make a difference in how I feel overall, which most people are like, duh, Rachel, sugar's not good for you. I know, but it's one of those, like, I've tried all the things, so we're going to give this a shot. So that's, lately, cut back the sugar. And I see this ironic scenario of me wanting to eat all the things and not needing to eat all the things as a direct attack on my willpower, which I think is rude. Thank you very much. And I find myself emotionally yelling at the devil to just step off, please. I just want to eat my feelings. And other options that I often consider while I'm drowning in my emotions could be crawling into bed until I can face people again. Peopling is hard. Or maybe ignoring all responsibilities while my motivation is non-existent. Maybe I want to go buy things I probably don't actually need. Retail therapy is very real. Or read a fiction or a fantasy book because that lets me escape reality. Do any of these resonate with you? Anything sounding familiar here? More importantly, here's a really more important question. Are any of these choices helpful or valid as a long-term solution? Sadly, they are not. Really sad. Like, it makes me sad. Okay, but let me be very clear about this part. I am 100% on board with taking some time for self-care, getting reoriented after you've had the wind knocked out of you, or maybe it's been beaten out of you, squeezed out of you. There are a lot of different levels of this, right? If sobbing into your ice cream or crawling into bed for a bit is what your tired soul needs, I'm here for it. Do it. Have your moment of retail therapy or escape into another world through the pages of a book or a movie. Do it. But we can't live there forever. That's the hard part. So I was reading this devotional book, and I'll link it in the show notes. But it was just this really tiny devotional book, little 3-minute devotions, quick, easy read in the morning. And I was reading that recently, and it described this process that I loved. I want to share it with you, where you observe a moment of silence and imagine your worries, whatever's tripping you up, floating above you like balloons. Okay? All these things that feel like they're weighing you down, imagine them as balloons. And then imagine God coming along and grabbing the strings from you and holding on to those worry balloons for you. If you need to literally pause me right now and do this, please do. Pause, have silence, imagine the worries or the anxiety sources as balloons. They're floating. God comes, he grabs the strings, and he holds them for you. When I gave it a try myself, it was such a beautiful moment to visualize. Because it's not that the worries are gone. They're still there. I can still see them. But I am no longer the one who's exhausted from holding on to them 24/7. And here's the best part. We can rest easier knowing God is strong enough to hold them as long as we need him to. And he loves us enough to do just that. So they feel super heavy to us, but if you can take a minute, see them as these balloons, and maybe there's just tons of them, and they're trying to carry you off from what you need to be focused on or doing. But if God comes along and grabs the strings and is holding them for you, you know he can handle it, and he loves you enough to do it so you can go on. So at the end of every episode, I know this was a quick one, but I want to recap just real quick, leave you with something you can walk away with. And the main thing here is that life can be a lot. And it's important to step back and allow time for some wallowing and self-care, dealing with the emotions of it all. But we can't live there forever. You don't want to be drowning in overwhelm forever. So hand over the things that are weighing you down. There is a patient, loving God who is strong enough to carry them all for you. And I think that's just beautiful. I do want to say, if you could use some help sorting through the struggles that you're currently dealing with, or identifying goals that you want to work towards, or creating an action plan to move past that feeling of drowning in overwhelm all the time, you are in the right place. I've walked this path with many other women who were ready to feel confident about their next steps and just overall direction, and I would be honored to do the same with you. So if you feel like this is you just need to go to racheldbaker.com/coaching, and you can grab a clarity coaching session that fits your schedule. I would love to go on this journey with you and help you figure out how to pass those balloons off and live your very best life. Thanks so much for listening today. Be sure to check the show notes to get links for all the resources mentioned in this episode. As always, your reviews make such a difference, so thank you for taking the time to leave those for us. Your ratings and thoughts mean so much. I love reading each and every one. As we wrap up today, please remember, life can feel crazy and overwhelming sometimes, but you will never regret taking the time to create some breathing room.